Good evening, and welcome to another RAM Facebook Live audio broadcast. My name is Anne Fumi Fatusin, the convener of RAM, Renewing the African Mindset. RAM is a non-profit organization established in 2012. It seeks to address topical issues which affect or impact negatively within the Afro-Caribbean community or the African community. To demystify some taboos, we tend to address different topics. This evening, the topic is surrogacy. This is a topic people hardly talk about, especially for intended parents or women who experience delayed parenthood. So this evening we have someone based in Nigeria. He's a specialist in fertility and is the medical director of George's Memorial Medical Center, established in 2006. This medical center is located in Lekki, Lagos Island, in Nigeria. This evening we have Dr. Faye Iketubosin. He is popularly known as Dr. Faye. He also has other areas of practice, such as endoscopic surgery, general obstetrics, and gynecology. In fact, he's also a specialist on menopause, which a lot of women of a certain age would definitely want to know more about. However, this evening we're talking about surrogacy. Without further ado, let me welcome Dr. Faye Iketubosu to the program this evening. Good evening, Dr. Faye.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay. As the name of the program says, Renew the African Mindset, we talk about different issues such as adoption, IVF, and domestic violence and the rest of it. However, when people are talking in terms of conception and they hear surrogacy, a lot of people have different notions about what surrogacy means. And people also have some sort of reservation regarding surrogacy. They don't know how to go about it. Some know how to go about it. They don't know who to go to. And this evening, hopefully you would help to demystify what surrogacy is all about. Because, we as Africans, there's some certain taboos surrounding things like this. And hopefully this evening you would help to shed more light on what surrogacy is, because some people have come to, when I advertised this program, people ask me a series of questions. Obviously, I'm not an expert. You're an expert in fertility. You are also an expert as a gynecologist. And your part of your practice areas is also surrogacy. So what does surrogacy mean?
Thank you. Now, surrogacy essentially means a couple commissioning a third party to carry a pregnancy and deliver a baby on their behalf. So with surrogacy, you have two parties. You have the couple as one party, and you have the surrogate as the second party.
Right. Whilst I was doing this research, I came across this terminology, gestational carrier. What's the difference between being a surrogate and a gestational carrier?
Now, surrogacy, the term surrogate is used as a generic term to depict of third-party conception. However, there are two types of surrogacy. You have the traditional surrogacy, which is a situation where the surrogate
Yeah.
is actually a participant in the exercise. In other words, you can have the surrogate eggs and the commissioning father's sperm used to generate the pregnancy. That's a traditional surrogacy. So the surrogate actually has a genetic contribution to the child.
Mm-hmm.
But with a gestational carrier, you have this. The surrogate is essentially a vessel. So the commissioning couple, their gametes come from the commissioning couple or commissioning couple and their donor, and the surrogate just carries the baby.
Right. So, there is, out of the two of them, I know there is one whereby the surrogate has some sort of, is it biological connection, and the gestational carrier does not.
Yeah, that's what I
Or
said.
is it genetic connection? Please, I mean, this is a layman talking here, or should I say a layperson? So, because people always think,
No, when you have the with traditional surrogacy,
yes,
the surrogate, that is a woman who is carrying the baby, contributes because we use her eggs are used.
okay,
So part of her genetic material is in the baby.
right,
Whereas with the gestational carriers, they have no genetic connection or biological connection with the commissioning couple.
all right, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So, if I may ask, how long have you practiced surrogacy?
So we've been offering surrogacy to clients in our practice for about 8 years now.
8 years. Okay. In what circumstances would a couple be offered surrogacy?
Now, surrogacy is offered to couples in whom the mother or the mother in the female partner in the commissioning couple is unable to carry a pregnancy. Now, this may be for medical reasons. For example, if she has severe heart disease, or it may also be for situations where her womb has been removed.
Right.
Where, for example, if she had a cancer, or where her womb has been damaged because of repeated surgery.
Right.
And it makes it, so there has to be a clear indication, usually, for a couple to be offered surrogacy.
Right. Okay. So tell us the process. What does it entail? Do you involve both parties seeking to have children, or is it just the intended mother that you call into the office? I mean, how does it work?
Well, pregnancy is a couple's business. So both the mother and father have to be present
Right.
at the consultation. Usually it starts with the consultation is a couple come to the doctor who are experiencing challenges with conception. Now, the doctor then will conduct investigations to find out what the cause of the difficulty may be.
Yes.
In the course of the investigations, what will become apparent will be either that the woman has ill health, in other words, she's unable to carry the pregnancy physically herself, or she has severe damage to her womb.
Right.
Most commonly caused by repeated surgeries.
Right.
So one would then further go on to do one of the investigations you may want to do is to do what is called a hysteroscopy, which is putting a telescope inside the woman's womb.
Yes.
To have a look at the lining.
Right.
And sometimes the lining is actually badly damaged.
Right.
Such that it would be impossible for a pregnancy to implant in that situation.
Right.
So that's the way that the couples usually present.
Right.
They don't actually come to the doctor saying, I want to use a surrogate.
Okay.
In some cases, however, when people already have the information, in other words, a woman has already been to a practitioner who has already told her that her womb is damaged, or she knows that she had her womb removed, perhaps she had severe complications during childbirth, or she had a termination of pregnancy which went wrong, which resulted in her womb being removed. She will know that her womb has been removed, and she would have been told at the time that the only way that she would be able to conceive, to carry, to have a child of her own would be to use a surrogate. So she, in that circumstance, will come to the doctor requesting a surrogate.
Okay, thank you. Could you tell us how long does the process take from the initial consultation to actually carrying a baby or babies home, because it could be twins or triplets, right from the beginning? How long is the process?
There isn't actually any specific time frame, because are first confronted with a situation that suggests they would need to use a third party to carry a pregnancy. It is not often greeted with it's not often accepted. So you would usually a couple will go away for a variable period of time to think about it, and maybe even consult other physicians. And so that period of time may be 6 months, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 months. There's no time frame for that.
Okay.
But once they decided, then the process then commences. The investigations are carried out. A surrogate is contracted. The process is explained to the couple. In most situations, it's an anonymous. It's an anonymous situation that the commissioned couple are not aware of who the surrogate is.
Okay.
Sometimes the couple may bring somebody, a friend, a relation, actually act as their own surrogate.
Right.
So once the process starts, once that has been established, the treatment commences, and duration of treatment can be for like a month. If they're lucky to win the first shot. Usually the treatment is done through in vitro fertilization.
Right.
Of IVF.
Right.
Where the gametes are taken from the couple.
Yes.
Fertilized in laboratory, and then transferred into the womb of the surrogate.
Yes.
And of course, if she conceives, then the normal gestational pregnancy is 40 weeks.
Right.
And so the whole process can take a year. It can take more. Can take longer than that, depending on how quickly the couple decide to proceed and commit to the treatment.
Right. Okay. There was a time we had a lot about surrogate mothers refusing to hand over babies, and which obviously caused a lot of concern. And some women had reservations, so to speak, thinking whether it's the right approach to get a surrogate mother who, after all the pain, after the distress over, in some cases, decades for some women, and then somebody saying, sorry, I can't hand over this baby. I've really bonded so well with the baby. So have you ever encountered a situation where a surrogate mother has refused to hand over the child or the children to the intended parents?
No, we've never had that situation at all. I think the reason being that in our environment, the main the driving force behind any woman, most women here, accepting or volunteering to be surrogates,
Right.
is because of the compensation they would get for the going through the exercise.
Right.
And in most cases, these are young women who already have children of their own,
Right.
and they're not in any they are not infertile. They have no desire to acquire or have more children.
Yes.
So there's no motivation for them to
hang on to the child
want
or
to
children.
take on a child that they've carried in that circumstance.
Okay.
However, the only complication which I know and some of my colleagues have experienced is where you have a known surrogate. In other words, a couple bring their own surrogate.
Yes.
Sometimes, and after, of course, there's a contractual agreement is drawn between the parties.
Yes.
But as the case is in the UK, it's not the contract is not enforceable.
Okay.
So you sometimes get in that situation because the surrogate knows who the commissioning couple are.
Yes.
They sometimes move the goalposts and almost result in a blackmailing situation where they ask for more compensation. So that's the only complication that I'm aware of. But
Okay.
we haven't personally experienced that in our center, but I'm aware that has happened in the past.
Okay. All right. Thank you for shedding light on that, because with the well, as in the UK here, they only pay for expenses. So in Nigeria, is that the same thing? Only expenses, or are there any charges, so to speak, to or should I say for the surrogate mother?
No, well,
Pay?
the only pay is the expenses.
Okay.
We don't they don't charge for the service, but you pay for the expenses.
Okay. You know, some people might perceive surrogacy as a taboo due to cultural values and beliefs. I'm talking about us as Africans. What's the perception of such concept in Nigeria? You know, like, what's the mindset like? Are people receptive towards it, or would people just refuse to consider surrogacy?
Well, like everything else, every woman wants to carry her own child.
Right.
So there is no woman that sets out to have her child being carried by another woman. So that's a starting point. And therefore, you know, the news, when a woman in a situation that she cannot carry her own child and has to use a surrogate, then she's faced with a dilemma.
Right.
The dilemma being that in our culture, there's a lot of premium placed on childbearing.
Yeah.
And women go through, put under a lot of pressure, when they don't have children, particularly when they are married, even when they're not married these days.
Yes.
So, because of that, even though it wouldn't have been their preferred mode of having a baby, but given the fact that they don't have a choice and they want to have a child or children, they would accept it.
Yes.
Now, it is only since we've been doing IVF successfully in the last 20 years or so,
right,
that we've been able to offer gestational carrier treatments.
Right.
Because as IVF has become more and more successful in Nigeria, we've been able to develop a very successful surrogacy program here. And with 20 years ago, women hardly spoke about IVF itself here in this environment.
Yes.
But now it's very common. It's a very common topic of discussion amongst women, particularly who are having challenges. And women are actually owning up publicly to say that they have conceived their children through IVF.
Yes.
And with surrogacy, the surrogacy hasn't quite reached the level of IVF because whilst they are willing to go through the surrogacy process,
yes,
some of them are not willing to disclose the fact that they use a surrogate.
Yes.
So they're faced with the dilemma of how does a woman who in the community isn't seen to be pregnant suddenly come home with a child?
Yes.
Did she adopt a child or what? So there are a number of strategies that women use to help sometimes they travel or they leave town for a lengthy period of time.
Yes.
So that the news is that they've gone to have a baby. And of course, so when they come back with a child, and people are no wiser. But there are some women who are quite open about discussing the fact that they have commissioned a surrogate to carry a pregnancy for them. I think attitudes are changing, particularly amongst the educated population.
Yes.
Because, well, they primarily are the ones who would be able to afford the treatment in the first place.
You see, my take on this is you mentioned something very important with regards to the way people still perceive things like this, surrogacy, adoption, or whatever, IVF. Recently, I read somewhere, without mentioning names, whereby somebody who had twins, and everybody rejoiced with this celebrity, and somebody was saying, no, what's the point in rejoicing? That it's IVF anyway. And I'm like, so many people have spent a lot of money over the years, decades, on IVF, and they still don't have children. So I'm thinking, if we try to demystify all this way of thinking, these taboos, and also to renew our mindset, and then we won't have problems like this. People will be coming out in the open to talk. And also another area of concern for me, and I'm sure for a lot of women, is the issue of baby factories. Whereby people will just travel abroad and they come back and they say, there's nothing wrong in going abroad and coming back with a baby. But having baby factories, you have these gigolos maybe 30 something, 40 something year old impregnating 16-year-old, teenage children, more or less, in order to have children. So I believe that if we talk openly about this, then we'll put them out of business, if anything. And the mindset would.
Baby factories are illegal.
Yes.
And anywhere, so that's not a subject that we would discuss, because
I know
it's an illegality, and wherever they are known to be practiced, they always shut down until the proprietors are arrested.
Yes.
So that's not that. So there's no.
No, what I'm trying to say.
Issue.
Yes. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, if people are quite open, then there will be no reason for baby factories. There will no reason putting any woman under unnecessary pressure.
I don't think the pressure comes from not being open. The pressure is from society.
Mm-hmm.
Putting pressure on women
Mm-hmm.
to have children. Unlike in Europe, where women sometimes elect not to have children and are quite happy, even when they get married, they elect not to have children.
Mm-hmm.
Totally, that way of thinking is totally un-African.
Yeah.
And so once a woman is married, she is expected to have children,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pressure that exists in our society.
Mm-hmm.
So people, all that talking about IVF and such treatments does is that it gives more women access to treatments that could get them out of that childless situation.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't necessarily change the mindset of people that puts women under pressure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the mindset is gradually shifting, as even somebody just commented as well, and I actually do believe that it's gradually shifting. Hopefully, we'll get there somehow, and people would begin to open up. I mean, the whole point of us having this program this evening is to create awareness about surrogacy, to keep people informed of what surrogacy is all about, because I know that some people, after this program, hopefully, if they are interested, they'll probably come to you and have a discussion with you on a one-to-one consultation. Because I could remember that somebody once said to me that no matter how much information is out there, it's not until when the person is ready. And there are times the person is ready, but they don't have, they cannot make an informed decision on surrogacy. So hopefully with this program going out tonight, and hopefully the listeners on board will be able to share the audio with all the people out there, with women out there, and just to help people, to keep them informed that surrogacy is not bad. There is nothing wrong with surrogacy. There is nothing wrong in getting a gestational carrier, but I'm sure you also offer support. It's part of the consultation, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Because I mean, I can imagine that somebody were to come into your medical center, you would have asked so many questions, and you'd have given them the opportunity to ask as many questions as possible, and also to go away to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think it depends on the way you look at it. There's some people, they believe that, well, if I'm carrying somebody else's eggs inside of me, that child is not mine, because the eggs are not mine. So I'm handing over the baby back to the intended parents. And then Some people also believe that if I'm carrying, if I'm offering to carry a child, I suppose it's all to do with the mindset, because I'm just sitting here and trying to visualize it. So do you also get people coming in to say that I'd like to be a surrogate mother for someone? Or is it the intended parents you usually get at your medical center?
Well, we have the way we run our program is that we use a third party agency to source for the surrogates.
You're right.
So what we see the commissioning couple.
Yes.
And where there's a request, where there's a need for a surrogate, we contact the agency, and they would have screened the surrogate and ensure that establish that they are fit and proper to carry out this treatment.
Yes.
And then they send them across to us. The supportive care is done by the agency. That's the social aspects.
Okay.
But we take care of all the medical needs.
You're right. I think that will give people peace of mind, though, that the surrogates are screened properly, because a lot of people always think, oh, I'm not sure, I don't want to go into surrogacy because I'm not sure about the type of child that's going to turn out, and so they do have reservations. And I'm sure you understand that from being a parent yourself, even though you are not a woman, but you understand what I'm trying to say, that a lot of women will be thinking, whose eggs are these? So it's good that you mentioned that a third party is being used where they screen the surrogate mothers.
Yeah, that's the model that we use. Other centers actually have the surrogates within their own center, but we find it more convenient to use a third party who will be responsible for the social aspects, and that allows us to focus on all the medical care that the surrogate would need.
Okay. On a final note, how old is the first surrogate baby from George's Memorial Medical Center?
About 6 years old.
6 years old? My goodness. A boy or a girl?
A girl.
A girl. Wow. Anyway, let me just see whether there are comments on there or maybe there are questions online, because unless of course you just want to shed more light on something we have not covered during this interview. I cannot see any questions as yet on here. So is there anything you want to add to the question?
Well, I think the only thing I'd want to say is that in Nigeria today, there are no laws that govern surrogacy.
Yes.
So, but that is currently being addressed, because
right.
There is a bill going through a National Assembly, and there's also an act, the Lagos State Health Act is also being modified. So that's going to include the status of surrogacy, legalizing the process of surrogacy and the status of children born through surrogacy.
All right. So at the moment, it's not regulated in Nigeria, is it?
At the moment, it's not regulated by the government, but there is the Association for Fertility and Reproductive Health, which is umbrella body for fertility practitioners in Nigeria, have a code of conduct, a code of ethics and on which has some guidelines with respect to surrogacy.
Okay. I have a question here. In fact, a comment first and then a question. The person said, I remember growing up and wondering if the man ever feels tempted to approach the surrogate woman, being the actual biological mother, because put it this way, it's her eggs. So, what are the dangers involved? I think maybe she's trying to say that the man might be tempted to say, well, since she's the biological mother of this child that we have, is there any possibility of me dating the surrogate mother or, going off with the surrogate mother? So what are the dangers, the potential dangers involved in surrogacy?
No, the surrogate eggs are not used. So even if you need to use donor eggs, we don't use the eggs from the surrogate. We use the eggs from a different party, a donor, who is on